Hi guys, welcome. And who dat? I'm Joe, and I'm here to review, recap, and react to this past Week 8 matchup between our beloved Bless You Boys in black and gold, the New Orleans Saints, as we traveled to Indiana to take on the Indianapolis Colts. And the Saints offense wakes up, manages to put up a bunch of points. Tale of two halves for the defense, but the outcome is a win for the Saints. Final score, New Orleans 38, Indianapolis 27. This was probably the best game overall for our team offensively. Defensively, it was a tale of two halves. We once again allow 17 points in the first half or more. This is 3 straight games now. It's becoming a disturbing trend. At one point, we were losing 17-7 early in the second quarter. And the Saints offense woke up. We managed to score a touchdown on 5 drives. We kicked a field goal on the 6th drive. We had 12 drives total. The last drive of the first half, we just knelt on the ball. And there was a turnover. Carr had a fumble. But in the other 10 drives, we punted 4 times and we scored 6 times. This is the best output our offense has had so far. I'm pretty impressed with how good the running game was, especially against this defense of the Colts. The Colts weren't great, but they weren't shabby against the run. But the Colts have had the 30th ranked pass defense, so it should have been a get-right game for our offense, especially our passing offense. I was impressed that we stuck with the run as long as we did. And I was very impressed with how consistent the offense was, despite some frustrating moments. The third quarter was pretty tough to deal with. We managed a 2-touchdown second quarter. We take a 21-17 lead. They kick a field goal right before the half ends. The score is 21-20, and at one point when we were down 17-7, you might be thinking, here we go again. But the offense bounced back, and they stayed strong in the second half. The defense came alive in the second half and held the Colts to only 7 points. And yeah, that final touchdown by the Colts was pretty crazy. Minshew didn't run around and gain a lot of yards scrambling, but he moved around in the pocket. So he was running around quite a bit. He just didn't gain a lot of rushing yards. He avoided sacks, though. We managed to get 2 on the day. And our offensive line held up pretty good. We only allow 1 sack, and it was a forced fumble. But overall, I think we had some very good play from the offense. And the defense, despite the 20-point output in the first half, the defense came together in the second half. Seems like we can't get all of it to work for me to call this the perfect game for the Saints as a team. The defense left something to be desired in that first half. And listening to Dennis Allen talk about it, it's as if he's got to do a better job. You've been the defensive coordinator for this team for years now. I don't know. You could say you're going to do a better job, but you had a week and a half to prepare for this team. And then the defense goes out there and struggles early. A couple of huge runs in the game against the Saints. But other than that, they were okay against the run. You can't take those plays away. But on a down-by-down basis, the defense was okay against the run. despite those two huge runs, 40-plus yards. Okay, let's pull up the stats, and we're going to take a look at this, and we're going to enjoy this while we can. I suggest, we live in these victories. You never know what you're going to get with the Saints. Well, offensively, the Saints get 511 yards. It was a massive day. This is 3 straight games with over 400 yards of offense. The last time the Saints did that as a team was 2018. So, but we only have one win out of those 3 games. So it's good to see a victory here. Derek Carr at quarterback has his best game as a Saint so far, despite the fumble. Carr was 19 of 27 for 310 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looked decisive. He looked like he knew where he wanted to go with the ball. There didn't seem to be as much miscommunication, and there was few penalties when it came to the offense. We tried to do a little hurry up early in the game, tried to do some up-tempo stuff, and yeah, that got us into some false starts. But really, it was a defense that struggled with the penalties today. Quarterback Taysom Hill had 2 pass attempts, and he completed 1 to Rashid Shaheed for 44 yards. It was a huge play. It was called an interception on the field, but it was pretty obvious that Rashid had caught the ball and had hit the ground down by contact before the defender had both his hands on the ball and pulled the ball away. So I hear a lot of people saying Ty goes to the offense. Yeah, it might have been a split second, but Rashid had that ball first. And Hill ends up with a big 44-yard completion. So overall, 354 yards passing, 310 going to Derek Carr. Great job by Carr today in this game. He's what we were looking for. Let's see if this quarterback shows up every game. Running the ball, quarterback Taysom Hill leads the team, 9 carries, 63 yards rushing. That's an average of 7 yards a carry. And when Taysom Hill carries the ball 7 or more times, the Saints are now 17-1 in those games. Seems like you'd want to run the ball with Hill 7 times a game when you've got a 17-1 record in doing so. So I know it's the ebb and flow of the game and everything else. I think you need to force the issue with Taysom Hill. I really do. And we utilized him in a great way. He was running around as a receiver, lined up at quarterback, 9, 10, 11 times. Yeah, that's what we need. We need him to be lined up at quarterback at least 10 times, and he needs to run 7 times. He needs to throw a couple of times. So I'd like to see him hand the ball off a few times, do some run options. There was one pass play that Hill had where he rolled out right, and it looked like he was going to throw the ball. He only had like 2 options or 3 options on the route. It was just to the right side of the field. He's running to the right side. He decided not to throw it. He just took off running. And I think that was one of those play calls where they told him, look, if he's open, throw it. If not, take off running. And that's what I love to see Hill do. He doesn't do it enough. It's a design pass. The guy's not open enough. Hill just takes off running, makes a big play, a big gain running the ball. We utilized Hill very well. Running back Alvin Kamara, another player that we utilized very well. Kamara ended up with 17 carries for 59 yards and a touchdown running. 3.5 a carry. He was stuffed at the line of scrimmage a few times, but he had a few nice runs. Definitely kept the team off balance. Jamal Williams, his second game back from injury, and he looked fantastic. 6 carries, 30 yards, an average of 5 yards a carry. This was definitely Jamal Williams' welcome to the Saints day. he was excited too. He was having a good time. And that 5-yard average per carry is definitely the best in the Saints uniform so far for Williams. And Kendre Miller got into the action as well. 3 carries for 10 yards, 3.3 average. And Kendre Miller looks like he can break one at any moment. I love seeing him get the ball too. So you add all that up, plus the one kneel down by Carr to end the first half. And the Saints end up with 36 carries on the day for 161 yards. An average of 4.5 yards a carry. 3 rushing touchdowns. This is insane for me. I didn't think we would be able to do something like that against the Colts. And yeah, good job, Carmichael. You stuck with it, and it worked. It's a solid day on the ground. Receiving, well, we saw something strange in this game. It's only the 3rd time it's ever happened in Saints history that a player gets over 150 receiving yards on just 3 catches. But Rashid Shaheed sets that mark. 3 catches, 153 yards, and a touchdown. He was targeted 3 times, caught all 3 of them, averaging 51 yards a catch. Amazing day for Rashid Shaheed. Michael Thomas had 4 catches for 68 yards. He was targeted 7 times. A couple of them were slants. The slants weren't working. I've been begging for them to do the slants, and maybe we got our answer as to why we don't do it, because it seems like Carr can't throw it. On one play, it seemed like Michael Thomas may have been low coming out of his cut, out of his break. Maybe he was slipping. Maybe he was trying to avoid the hit, so he was expecting the pass to go low. The pass was, was okay. It was catchable. So that seemed a little off on that one. And then the second one was behind Thomas. And Thomas didn't hold on to that one either. But, when you run a slant Carr, you got to get that ball in the right spot. That ended up being an issue. But other than that, Thomas had a very productive day with 68 yards. Alvin Kamara had 4 catches on 5 targets, 51 yards receiving, and the receiving touchdown. It was a beautiful option route. Taysom Hill was running a route on the play. Taysom came across the formation. It peeled the linebacker away. Kamara made the right decision by breaking inside following that route. Carr knew exactly where to go with the ball. That seemed like they were on the same page, and it worked. Kamara had a couple of option routes in this game. Thank you for bringing it back. That one, he opted to cut inside. On another one, he broke it to the outside. It was wide open. He catches the ball and runs up the field. I think it was about a 20-yard reception. Great to see Kamara being used this way. I like that he got 17 touches. When Kamara gets our carries, when he gets 22 carries, over 20 carries, I feel like we're pounding him too much when we've got all this other meat that we can give the ball to. Jamal Williams, Kendre Miller, Taysom Hill. Altogether they had 18 carries and Kamara had 17. I like that distribution right there. Keep our running backs healthy. Keep them fresh. We utilized Kamara in a very good way. Wide receiver Chris Olave. He's obviously going through a sophomore slump. People forget that this is a thing. I think we're seeing it as well with Alontae Taylor. He's trying to learn a whole new position. And both of these guys have a lot of talent. We're seeing that sophomore slump with Penning, too. And it's obvious with Chris Olave because he's got the ability. And there's going to come a time when we're going to need Olave to be our number one guy. The receiving core has been healthy so far this year. So 5 catches, 46 yards. Not a bad day for Olave, but he was targeted 9 times. And we all remember the one where he lost the ball in the lights. If he had got under that ball, it would have been something. One of the balls hit him in the helmet. One of them was an overthrow by Carr. And then Olave did make a few catches. There was one where the cornerback had fell down. Olave caught the ball, and instead of turning upfield, he just caught it and ran out of bounds. He was wide open when he caught it. And I think he figured the cornerback was right on his tail, and he was just securing the catch. I guess you really should have a little more awareness than that. I'm going to give Olave a pass on this. I mean, he's not the biggest receiver in the world, and I know he's trying to improve and be tougher. But, the guy was on him. He fell down. You catch the ball, you're wide open. He could have got at least 5 more yards, possibly much more than that. So, but I'm not going to fault him too bad. I'd rather our guys survive to play another down, secure the catch. But overall, I got to say Chris Olave is having a sophomore slump, and that's what I'm going to call it. I hope he gets his head out of the dirt or out of the clouds, wherever it is, and I hope he puts it together, because there's going to be a time, much like last year, when Chris Olave is going to be our number one guy, and we're going to need him to produce. And right now, he's producing. He's not catching everything that's coming his way. He's not running the right routes all the time. He seems to let up sometimes. He does goofball things like earlier in the season, catching the ball and then, spiking it when no one ever touched him. And, he's young. And I think that Olave is used to being applauded. And he had a great rookie campaign, so he probably felt like he could do no wrong. And maybe he's having a hard time handling that adversity now. Hopefully he comes out of it. And as far as receiving for the rest of the team, Taysom Hill did have that one catch on that one target for 14 yards. It was a great play by Taysom, because Carr was about to go down, and he just threw it out to Taysom. It was like a prayer toward the sideline, and Taysom stayed there, caught the ball, turned it upfield, and made 14 yards out of it. Kendre Miller had one catch for 9 yards on the one target. Jamal Williams had a catch. He was only targeted once, but it was 8 yards. And Juwan Johnson, 2 targets, 1 catch, 5 yards. The second target, he was triple covered in the end zone, but Derek Carr put the ball right on him. And it's really tough to make a catch when you're triple between 3 guys. But we've seen Johnson make the play before. Pass couldn't have been any better. That was a touchdown, in my opinion, dropped by Juwan Johnson. He just hasn't been involved in the games. He was hurt for a month, and he's been back now, trying to get back involved in it. And that's the kind of play that we might need one day. Triple covered or not, if Carr gets you the ball and it hits you, you got to make that play, That's another touchdown the Saints could have had. And, of course, Olave dropping one. That would have been a touchdown. We left a lot of points on the board for a team that scored 38. But, yeah, overall, I got to say, excellent. And I got to give a lot of credit to Pete Carmichael for this. When things are working, then you feel like the play calling's fine. And if it's not working, you think the play calling's bad. That's the way it goes. But I saw some things with this game that I didn't really notice before. I saw formations and route trees that were opening up other routes. I saw us set things up and then work off of it. And when we were in the red zone, that was the biggest difference. We get in the red zone 4 times, and we score a touchdown on 3 of the trips. The 4th one was the very last trip, when we knew a field goal would seal the deal for the game. And so, there's that. Plus, Taysom Hill had a 20-yard run for a touchdown. That one's not included in the red zone trips. But if it's from the 20-yard line, it should be. So technically, in my opinion, we were 4-4. And then on the fifth one, we'd kick a field goal because that's all we needed. So I would say 4 or 5. But defensively, we allowed 2 touchdowns in the red zone by the Colts. They were 2 out of 3. And yeah, the penalties killed us on defense. Let's talk about the defensive stats real quick. Demario Davis had a hell of a day, 12 total tackles. He had a quarterback hit. He also had 1 pass defense. Davis looked like he was getting around a lot better on that bum knee in this game. I felt like the defense played a lot of zone. I think, we played majority man, but I think we played a lot more zone in this game. And I think the reason why was because Minshew's the kind of quarterback that could take off running. We wanted to kind of keep eyes on him. And we did stop Minshew from scrambling. He didn't gain very many yards running the ball. Marshawn Lattimore, he was targeted 9 times, and he allowed 6 catches. I don't like that. Sometimes I feel like Marshawn's not playing up to par. But sometimes maybe Marshawn is just dialed in on something. He had 9 total tackles. For a cornerback, that's pretty good, including a tackle for a loss. He also had a pass defensed, which he hasn't had in a couple of games. So that was nice. I mean, it'd be nice if he'd have one of those every game, but overall, I got to say Lattimore being such a sure tackler, and even though he was allowing catches, he was making the tackles. So I need Lattimore to climb over the hump here. This is a good game for a cornerback, pretty good game, but I expect greatness out of Lattimore. Jordan Howden was a late minute addition to the starting roster as Marcus May was out with the injury, or he had an illness. He's suffering with a hamstring, but he was going to play through that, but it was the illness. Now, he felt better on game day, May did, but he didn't practice on Thursday or Friday, so the coach decided to play Howden instead. It's interesting because May was healthy and ready to go. He was over the illness. He just didn't practice. And the coach wanted the rookie to take the practice into the game. And he did. And Howden responded with 8 tackles total and a pass defense. The last touchdown the Colts scored, I think Howden was slightly off. He was a little behind. That completion should have never been made. But other than that, I think Howden played a fine game, starting as a rookie with a healthy pro behind you. Good job, Howden. Carl Granderson, once again, standing up, making it happen. Carl Granderson got hurt during the game, had to leave. He went in the tent. He went to the locker room, but he came back and finished the game. So, not sure what the issue was with Granderson, but he finishes the game with 6 total tackles, including a sack, tackle for a loss, 3 quarterback hits. Good job, Granderson, once again. Linebacker Pete Werner finished with 4 total tackles. Cameron Jordan had 4 total tackles. Tyrann Mathieu had 4 total tackles. Mathieu was juked pretty bad on one of them on that Taylor run. Jonathan Taylor's a tough back. I think he's one of the best in the league. I mean, if I had my choice of who to start over with, Taylor would be on that short list. And Moss, the backup running back for the Colts, did a great job as well. Paulson Adebo, wow. No penalties. And on top of that, 3 total tackles, 3 passes defensed, which is a career game best for Adebo. And Adebo has the interception, which he picked off at the 2 and ended up in the end zone, but took it out and brought it all the way back to about the 30. So Adebo is coming off one of his best games last week and a loss. This time, it's in a win. And great job, Adebo. He might be my defensive player of the game. If Adebo keeps this up, whew, we have a good secondary. Alontae Taylor had 3 total tackles. Malcolm Roach had 3 total tackles. Big man Nathan Shepard in the middle, 3 total tackles, including 2 quarterback hits and a sack. What a great job by Shepard. I'm so glad that we're getting some activity in the middle of the defensive line right now. It can't all just be on Granderson, and I think that a lot of this lack of pressure, lack of sacks, I'm expecting the team to get 3-4 sacks a game. We get 2 in this one. But, the defensive line remains active. Okay. They're not dead. Brian Bresee, 2 total tackles and 2 passes defensed. Antano Passanio had 1 tackle, and he had a quarterback hit. He also had a fumble recovery for a touchdown, but it didn't count. They decided that the quarterback was throwing the ball. They end up giving Foskey a pass defensed on that play. It would have been a strip sack for Foskey, but instead they consider it a pass defensed. Ugo Amadi also had a pass defense. The last pass of the game hit him right in the 0. Whoop, boom, and he dropped it, but that's okay. We had won the game. There you go, guys. I mean, absolutely great performance by the offense. Blake Grupe was asked to kick 1 field goal, and he connected. Lou Headley, as the punter, had 4 punts, all 4 of them downed inside the 20. And that's what you want from your punter. You don't have to kick it very far. If you get them behind the 20, you're doing your job. One of them was down at the 2, I think. So good job, Headley. The biggest problem for the Saints offense all year long has been 3rd downs and red zone. We were 3 out of 4. Like I say, 4 out of 5 in the red zone, but technically 3 out of 4 in the red zone. And we were 6 of 12 on 3rd downs. Not bad. If we can be 50% on 3rd down for the rest of the year, we're going to have a lot of success. The Colts were 7 out of 16 on 3rd downs. There's a couple too many there for me. Overall offense, we get 511 yards. We allow 371. 164 of that was on the ground. That's something that we have to clean up. Like I said, you take away the 2 biggest runs, and they only end up with 80-something rushing yards. So overall, I guess from the down-to-down basis, the defense was pretty good against the run, but you allow those 2 big runs. And I got to say, the Colts helped out. Not only did they have the 30th ranked passing defense, but they decide to throw the ball 40-something times. And this game was pretty close, 21-20 going into the 3rd quarter. At the end of the 3rd quarter, it was 28-20. So this game was not out of reach. But I noticed the Colts did this early. They had so much success with Taylor on that first drive. And they got in the red zone and they started dinking around with pass plays. Moss had some success as well. But every time the Colts decided to pass, I was kind of sympathizing with the crowd there for the Colts. Like, wait a minute. You just ran the ball 43 yards on one play, and now you're throwing the ball 2-3 times in a row. I mean, that kind of stuff drives me crazy. If something's working, keep doing it. The Colts had 164 rushing yards on 24 attempts. 24. We had 36 run attempts. Okay? 161 yards. So 24 attempts. They're averaging 6.8 yards a carry. I'm sorry, but if I'm in Colts land, I'm pointing my finger at the play caller and saying, what are you doing? How did you let this game get away from you like this? How did you allow the Saints to come back the way you did? How did you keep putting that offense on the field when you could have been running the ball? 24 rushing attempts. Hey, we make mistakes as coaches. They make mistakes as coaches. That was a huge mistake, in my opinion. Played right into our hands. Rashid Shaheed had 46 yards on punt returns, and we allowed 0 punt returns for them. So, altogether that puts Rashid at over 200 yards all purpose. Actually 199 all purpose yards. It's amazing. Alvin Kamara had 100 yards all purpose. Taysom Hill had over 100 yards all purpose. And Rashid Shaheed has almost 200 yards all purpose. Massive, massive, huge plays all game long. Love to see it. One area that did hurt us that needs to get cleaned up, once again, the penalties. This time it was the defense. The defense had a few penalties in the game that really set the Colts up in scoring position. Now, we fumbled the ball and gave them a nice little short field to work with on the fumble. But yeah, they lined up for a field goal on 4th and short. Rasee was lined up over the center. They tried to draw us off because it was a 4.5 yard. We didn't bite. They had to back up 5 yards. Then Rasee lines over the center, and they make the field goal, but the penalty's against us, so they get it 4th and short again. They decide to go for it, and they score a touchdown. So that penalty is directly why they scored a touchdown. And that happened a couple of times, big penalties. Marshawn Lattimore had a holding and a pass interference on the same play. So, yeah, the penalties we have to clean up. 8 penalties for 73 yards total. The Colts had 6 penalties for 30 yards. All right. I got to give kudos to Pete Carmichael. I saw a lot of motion in this game. Rashid Shaheed running across the back of the formation. It's a tell to me that just tells you if they're in man or in zone instantly. And a couple of really big plays, I saw the motion by Rashid. So, gives your quarterback a heads up, keeps the defense on their toes. I mean, I like seeing stuff like this. It's little things. Being in the red zone and running Taysom Hill. Getting in that massive jumbo package that we have with Taysom Hill and Colin Saunders playing fullback, and we've got the extra offensive lineman and 2 tight ends out there. I mean, it's the biggest jumbo package you ever saw. Taysom Hill is a tight end playing quarterback, and yeah, just that formation right there. It's like the Philadelphia Eagles. What do they call it? Brotherly shove. It always works. I think this jumbo package for the Saints, within 5 yards, 6 yards, I think this is going to work a lot. And it was nice to see them call it. It was nice to see Kamara out there in the red zone catching the ball and running with it. The slants didn't work, but we saw some slants. We attacked the middle of the field quite a bit. And we were setting them up in ways, I think after the Tampa Bay game, every team we play should know that they should defend us the way Tampa Bay did. Take away the deep ball and make us dink and dunk you to death. Well, we were getting big plays in the middle of the field in this game, and they were open. And I think we were setting things up, and then we were able to hit a few big plays. I mean, personally, if I was playing the Saints, I would just take away the big throw, and I would make you have to earn every yard of it. So did the Colts screw up there too? Yeah, they did. But we took advantage of it. Kudos to the offensive line. This might be the group we run with from now on. If James Hurst comes back from his injury, I don't know if he takes Pete's place at left tackle or if he takes Max Garcia's place at left guard. I mean, we want to believe Hurst is a better player, but right now this is working. Pete at left tackle, Garcia at left guard, McCoy, Ruiz, Ramczyk at right tackle. Last week we had Irving at right tackle, but this week we get Ramczyk back. This lineup seems to be working pretty well, so we may just roll with this for the rest of the year. They want to see Hurst at left tackle again. Do they think Hurst is a better left tackle than Andres Pete? It's possible when Hurst comes back, he gets the tackle when we slide Pete back to left guard. But as long as it's Pete Garcia on the left side, I think we'll be okay. It's been working so far. And before I end the video, I got to give a kudos to the run blocking of the offensive line, of course, but also by the wide receivers, by the tight ends. There were some great blocks in this game. Juwan Johnson has turned a corner when it comes to blocking. He made a couple of great blocks, and Morrow is a fabulous run blocker as well. Yeah, I saw some good stuff from this offense. So overall, I got to say, man, the defense needs to come back. I want to get back to holding teams to under 20 points. And when you're allowing 17 points or more in the first half, it's kind of hard to hold a team to under 20 points. But after going down 17-7, we outscored them 31-10. And we end up winning this game by double digits. Great game by the Saints. I'm going to be happy with this one. I'm sorry my videos take so long to come out, but you guys can enjoy this one all week long. Please subscribe to my channel, Rosenfield 10, and I will be doing a preview of the upcoming matchup in the Dome against the Chicago Bears. That'll come out on Thursday. And until then, I'll talk to you later. Who dat?